We've already taken a look at Microsoft Word, Excel, and now we will be moving on to Microsoft PowerPoint. Uh, any of you, do any of you have any information, or have you used Microsoft PowerPoint before? What do you know about it precisely?
Yes, it is used for presentations and slides.
Yes, basically that's its primary objective. It has many uh, options dedicated to that purpose. So, in general, the same with Microsoft Word and Excel, we can open Microsoft PowerPoint by printing PowerPoint, writing PowerPoint in the Windows Explorer menu and clicking on it or clicking enter like this. We can also just double click on the shortcut. Here we have Microsoft PowerPoint. This is the welcome screen. It gives us options for different themes that we can use for our presentation. It also contains the recently opened presentations. We can choose to open presentations which we have on in our computer or in the cloud. We can create a new presentation by trying the different themes available to us. We can even search online for different templates like this. So, moving back to the welcome screen, let's choose a theme from these ones. Okay, we can choose different colors for the same theme, and when we click on create, here we have our first slide, which is
So
called
we
a
don't see, we don't have a screen.
uh, oh, sorry, I didn't have screen sharing active. No problem. How about now?
Yes, now we can see.
Okay, so as I was saying, let me just repeat what I was just saying. We can search for PowerPoint in the Windows Explorer menu like this, and then we can either click enter on the keyboard or click on it once with the mouse. Here we have the welcome screen, or we can simply double click on the shortcut in the desktop. Here we have a collection of themes that we can use for our presentation in the Home tab. We can create a new
That's a
presentation.
PowerPoint presentation, right?
Yes, it's a PowerPoint presentation. Here, if we click on new, notice we have different themes we can choose from for our presentation. We can also search for
Different
online
again.
themes. Yes,
The screen went off, we can't see.
the screen is off.
No, it's on.
I believe it's a connection problem on your part. Try exiting and rejoining the meeting. So, as I was saying, we have different themes we can choose from: Celestial, Berlin, Gallery, each with its own name. For example, if we click on Open, we have the recently opened presentations, or we can just choose to open a presentation from our PC, or from the cloud. Here we have OneDrive. Let's go back to home. Let's try to create a new presentation. Let's try this theme, for example. When we choose a theme, we can choose the color of the layout of the theme. Here we have blue, purple, another shade of blue, and orange. For example, let's go with a blue. And now we can click on create. Here we have the first slide of each presentation, which is the title slide. Here we have click to add a title, and then click to add a subtitle. Self-explanatory. We can entitle our entire presentation. For example, let's go with computers. And here, a subtitle. We can, for example, write our names, the names of everyone involved in creating the presentation, for example. Now, here we are in the Home tab. Notice it isn't much different from the one in Word and Excel. We have many options that are similar between the three of them. Here we have the font type, the font size. We can increase the size of the font, decrease the size of the font. We can underline the text, make it italic or bold. We can use text shadow. Notice each time I'm hovering over an option, it gives me a hint of what that option does. For example, increase font size, and the keyboard shortcut that does the same thing. Okay, decrease the font size, change case, lowercase or uppercase, for example, character spacing, strike through the text, for example. We have text positioning. We can use, for example, lists here. This is to choose the marker of the list. Here we have a numbered list, for example. This is the Home tab, which is the first tab of any presentation. For example, now if we want to create a new slide, not a new presentation, a new slide, meaning a second page of this presentation, we click on New Slide, and it defaults to title and content. Okay, we have different types of slides. For example, title slide, which is the first slide, title and content, section header, to content for comparison, for example, a blank slide, content with caption. We have many different types of slide. Now the most used one is the default one, which is title and content. Here we have click to add text, which notice the list element is pre-selected, meaning that here we have to, for example, let's go with plan, for example. We outline the plan of this presentation. Are you following along?
Yes.
Okay, so continuing here, we will start. For example, let's just, for example, say we start with an introduction. Okay, an introduction. Then maybe we will talk generally about history of computers. And then we will talk about, for example, the main components. Then, I don't know, software, and we will give a conclusion. This is just an example to illustrate how this type of slide can be used. Okay, now let's create another slide, and this one should be entitled, according to the plan, introduction. Okay, introduction. Here we have an introduction. Now, with an introduction, we can disable the list element if, for example, we try to write something, write a paragraph which is it's not really encouraged for PowerPoint presentations. You try to include as little written text as possible. You try to convey your point using images, diagrams, and everything. Here we have shapes, for example. We have shapes. We can, for example, let's go with this is the home tab. Let's go to the insert tab. We have pictures, we have shapes, we can use charts. They are really similar with Word and Excel. Okay, so here with an introduction, notice here in the middle of this segment we have shortcuts to add pictures, or to, for example, insert a smart art or 3D models, for example. Let's go with pictures from
It is
device.
the same with the Word, I guess.
Yes,
PowerPoint is
yes,
the
it's
same
the
with the
same.
Word.
Just in this case, you can insert using the insert tab and then going on pictures, or just using this shortcut. Okay, for example, here we have an image. We can resize the image just like Microsoft Word and Excel. We can reposition it like this, and we can rotate the image as we like. Okay, so same thing with the shapes. For example, here we can change its entire shape. For example, make it wider, larger. Let's delete it, and let's go to the insert tab and try shapes. Same thing with Microsoft Word. We have the plus icon. Once we selected the shape, we click and we drag across. Okay, we can change. If we right click on a shape, for example, we can change the fill of the shape, different color, or the outline, which is the color of the line with which the shape is drawn. Okay, is it clear?
Yes.
We can even another difference between pictures and shapes is we can add text to pictures. Okay, for example, if we right click on the picture, notice the options we have: cut, copy, paste, edit text. If we click on edit text, notice the little marker here that appears. We can write whatever we want. For example, CPU, for example, and we can reposition this shape in whatever position we want. Okay, for example, with pictures you don't have that option. Let's go to pictures, insert this picture. Another difference is, notice here we have pictures. In pictures, we have this device, from the computer, or we can search for online pictures. Okay, let's go with pictures on this device. Here, there is no option to edit the text or to add text to an image. Okay, is it clear?
Yes.
Okay, so let's insert another shape. For example, let's click. For example, we can't group a picture and a shape. For example, here we have the group option is grayed out, which means that it isn't available. Okay, but for example, if we delete everything and insert two shapes, I'm just gonna give you an example of how to make simple diagrams with PowerPoint. Okay, for example, let's insert another one. Let's insert an arrow. Now, if I want the arrow to move with the rectangle, I have to group them together. We just click on Control. For example, we select the first shape and then click on Control and click on the second shape while holding the Control key. Okay? While holding the Control key. Now, both of them are selected. And now, once both shapes are selected, we right click and notice here we have the group option. Let's click on Group. Now, both shapes are treated as a single shape. Notice when I click on them, they move together. Okay? Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay, so continuing, here we have a shape, two shapes that are grouped into one. If we want to undo the changes, we click on the shape or the group of shapes. We right click and then go to the group option. Now, group is grayed out because we already grouped the two shapes together. Now we can ungroup the two shapes. Okay? Now, each shape can move independently from the other. Okay? But we will see an example of where that could be beneficial, grouping shapes together. Okay? So, we've talked about pictures. We can also use online pictures, for example. We can search for online pictures, for example. And choose the appropriate one to insert. Okay? We just select the picture or the group of pictures. For example, we can select more than one and then we click on insert. Okay?
Can we select photos from our gallery?
Yes.
Like not from the internet?
Yes, I just did. For example, let's try to delete this one and let's, from this device, notice what it tells you is you can insert pictures from this device or search on the web, or you can insert icons. From this device, it gives me pictures that are locally saved on my computer. Okay? These are pictures that are saved on my computer. Okay? Another thing, Here, if we go to the Design tab, we can change the theme of our presentation. Okay? For example, if we chose a theme and then we wanted to choose another one, in the Design tab, we can choose from a number of themes. We can browse for themes if we have some which are locally stored in our device. Notice we have quite a few themes to choose from. And once we select a theme, even the previous slide, the entire presentation follows that theme. Okay? Now, for something that is integral to PowerPoint, which is, you can say it's the main difference between PowerPoint and the other programs, which is the animations. Okay? Notice here we have quite a few types of animations, but they are all grayed out. Who can tell me why the animations are grayed out?
No idea.
Now, the animations have to be applied to an element within a slide. Now, each page of this PowerPoint presentation, this entire thing is a PowerPoint presentation, but this one, the first page, the second page, and the third page are called slides. Now, the animations are applied to elements in a slide. For example, if we insert a picture, we can use an animation on that picture. Okay, we can apply an animation on that picture. For example, let's go with the previous picture. And now, if we select the picture and move to the Animations tab, here the animations are available to us. We can choose quite a few of them. We can, there are different types of animations, entrance, emphasis, and exit. We will start with entrance animations, which they are the most frequently used type of animations. Let's try split animation. It gives you a preview. Notice when you use an animation, it gives you a preview. This split animation is selected. If we want to change it, we just select the type of animation we want. For example, I quite like this wheel animation type. Here we have one next to the picture, meaning that a single animation, now an animation is applied to this picture, and it is the first animation within that slide. For example, let's select this element, introduction, and let's choose this type of animation. Now, notice the number 2 appeared next to introduction. Why? Now, the introduction element within the third slide is the second element that will be animated. Okay? Let's try to do this in full screen so we can see the animations at play. Now we just click on Fn plus F5, for example. We have computers, plan, and then the third slide, nothing. Why? Because we have to click advance in our slideshow. So we have the picture and then introduction. Why were they in that order? Who can tell me why the picture appeared before the introduction?
It's the number one and then two because you use the
Exactly.
animation with the first and then the
Exactly.
second.
Exactly. How can we correct it? We just click on an element, the picture or the introduction, and then in these in animation tab, in this animation tab, we have move earlier or move later. For example, this introduction, we have to move it earlier than the picture. Okay. Now notice that the numbers have switched. Okay. We have introduction, which is the first one, and
That means we can change the order if we want.
yes, exactly. Now let's try to preview this again. Computers, plan, introduction, and then the picture. Okay. We can also use animations on this slide. Let's use the split. For the plan, we can use shape, for example. And then if we, for example, if we choose a list, here we have a list, okay? If we select the entire list, for example, and use the float in animation type, notice it gives me a preview, and it ordered them from the first one to the last one. Okay, let's try this one. Computers, plan, introduction. Now if I don't click on the arrow or on the mouse, it just stays stuck. Okay, if I click on my keyboard, one by one the elements appear. Okay, let's try another one. For example, for whatever reason, for example, let's go with none. We can just delete the animations by clicking on the element in which we applied the animations and then click on none, which removes the animations. Okay, now for example, let's say I want to animate this introduction. Okay, here the animation is only applied for this element because I selected this element. Okay, let's try a preview. Notice the first element is absent because it is animated and it is the uh, second element to be animated after the title plan. Okay, now the other elements just appeared because they are not animated. If anything doesn't have an animation applied to it, it just appears with the slide. Okay, for example, if we remove the animations, just remove everything, let's remove this one too. We can also remove animations by clicking on the animation itself and then clicking on delete on the keyboard. Okay, now if we take a look at our slide without animations, what do you notice? Which one is best, with or without animations?
With, of course.
Yes, animations serve to better organize or better convey your ideas to your audience. For example, you need to captivate the audience or captivate their attention. And one way to help you do that is animations. Okay, so without animations, notice everything written on the slide just appears at once, which can be overwhelming to some of your audience. Okay, let's take a look at a finished. Okay, let's save this one, for example. Now, the extension for PowerPoint presentation is PPT or PPTX, okay? .ppt or .pptx. Notice here in the title it says computers.pptx. And the type is PowerPoint presentation. Okay, let's try another. For example, let us see this. Take a look at this presentation. Just to give you an example, here is the title with the authors and then presented by. Now for the plan, just focus on the order and the general feel of the presentation, okay? Point by point, so you can explain every point individually.
Did you use only one type of animation in here?
No, no. Notice here we have fly in type of animation for the for each sentence, and then the shape animation for the images or the shapes. Okay? For example, I'm just giving you an example of what a finished presentation can look like, okay? Notice we have animations. This is to explain each part of this equation, for example. For example, this I used images where I could omit writing. I used images instead. Okay. For example, this can be explained with images and then a conclusion. And what you just saw there are called transitions. Now, for animations, I've given you an example for animations. Now, for transitions, transitions are used to go from a slide to another slide. For example, now this is a transition. Notice how the second slide pushes up the first slide, okay? The second slide pushes up the first slide. For example, this one too, the second slide pushes the first slide. There are different types of transitions. For example, this one pushes the previous slide to the left. Okay? Let's try it in our previous PowerPoint presentation, this one. We simply go to the transitions tab and then choose one type of transitions. For example, push, wipe, split, reveal, cut, random bars, shape, uncover. For example, let's use the uncover one. We can use split. And for this, we can use different types. For example, you can even use complex ones like airplane. For example, let's go for this one. Let's try now to go full screen with our presentation. Notice the transition between the first and the second. And now for between the second and the third. It's just to make your slide more enjoyable and easy to look at and follow along, okay? Do you have any questions?
No, thank you.
Okay, so in next session we will continue to create a better presentation using what we've learned here and some additional information, okay?
All right.
Okay, I will upload this video to YouTube, and maybe we will have a regular session. I don't know if it will be next week or the week after. I'm not sure. I will let you know via email, okay?
All right.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for attending.
Sir,
Yes,
good afternoon, and I'm
good
sorry
afternoon.
for being late.
No problem.
I just wanna ask you about our marks for PM1. I came to
Yes,
your
for PM1,
yes.
for PM1, if you want to take a look at your marks, just send me an email with your name, and I will send you back the mark as a reply. Okay?
Okay, sir, if you have a list of the marks, you can send it to me because I'm the delegate of PM1.
Okay, no problem. Just send me an email. And I will send you the list when I'm finished writing it.
All right.
I haven't gotten to writing the list.
All
The
right, I'm
marks
gonna send
are
you, and thank
ready.
you so much.
Yes. Okay, no problem.